everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. Today we're looking at something pretty interesting.
Oh,
Yeah, it's an Amazon listing, and it's got us scratching our heads a little.
okay. I'm intrigued now. What is it? What's on Amazon?
Okay, so imagine this. You're, scrolling through Amazon, looking for a new phone case or whatever,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you see a listing pop up for a renewed iPhone 16 Pro Max.
Whoa, wait.
Yeah, you heard right. The iPhone 16.
A renewed iPhone 16.
A phone that hasn't even been announced by Apple yet.
Yeah, that sounds a little suspicious.
Exactly. Like, how can there even be a renewed version of a phone that doesn't officially exist yet?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It's like finding the sequel to a movie before the original even comes out.
Right.
So this listing, it's for a US version, 256 gigabyte black titanium model, unlocked, and get this, it's sold by a seller called Never Been Activate.
Never been activated.
Yeah.
That's an interesting name choice for sure. Yeah. Okay, I'm definitely hooked. Tell me more.
Okay, so it's priced at $1,500, which, isn't exactly cheap for a renewed device.
But it's in the future, yeah.
Right. And they're claiming to only have 9 left in stock.
Oh, really?
Which, kind of makes you think, ooh, gotta grab it before it's gone.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. Scarcity.
Yeah.
Classic marketing tactic.
Exactly. So the delivery window is between November 12th and the 18th, 2024.
Interesting. That lines up perfectly with when a lot of people are saying the iPhone 16 series will actually come out.
Yeah, and to make things weirder, the ships from and sold by are both Never Been Activate.
So it's all coming from the same place.
Right, which is kind of unusual unless we're talking about like a small independent seller. But wait, there's more. In the product details, it casually says model year 2024.
Again, that matches up with when the iPhone 16 is supposed to be released.
I know, right? But it's just weird to see that on a renewed device listing.
Yeah, it is.
And then we get to the customer reviews, and this is where things get really strange.
Okay, reviews for a phone that's not even out yet. Lay it on me. What are people saying?
So there are 2 5-star reviews. One just says mantap, which apparently is Indonesian slang for cool.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then the other one is like, when's iPhone 17?
Okay, that's kind of funny.
And then there's a lone 1-star review, and they're complaining about the price of a refurbished phone.
Oh, so they're trying to make it look legit with these reviews.
It does feel like someone is trying to make it look like, people have actually bought this phone, but it just raises more questions.
It's interesting. That Mantap review,
Yeah.
it could mean that they're trying to reach buyers outside the U.S.
Oh.
Maybe people who wouldn't know as much about typical phone release dates here.
That's a good point. Like, they're casting a wider net.
Yeah, exactly.
Clever, but also kind of shady.
Yeah, definitely makes you wonder what they're really up to.
And remember that video recommendation I mentioned earlier about adding SSDs to iPhone 15, 16s?
Oh,
Well, as far as we know, that's not actually a thing. You can't just add an SSD to an iPhone.
That is strange. So either someone knows something about future iPhones that we don't,
Yeah.
or this video recommendation is completely bogus.
Or maybe they're trying to, mess with people's heads, making them question what they know about the iPhone 16.
It's definitely adding to the confusion around this whole thing.
So yeah, that's what we're dealing with. A listing for a phone that's not even officially out yet.
That's wild.
Sold as renewed by a seller with a pretty suspicious name, weird reviews, and this video recommendation that doesn't make sense.
So what do we think is going on here? Is this a placeholder listing for the actual iPhone 16 that accidentally got published too early?
Or is it a scam preying on people who are super excited about the new iPhone?
Or could it be something else entirely?
Yeah, like what if this is a stash of leaked prototypes that they're trying to quietly sell off?
Interesting theory. If that were the case, why list them on Amazon?
Yeah, good question. It's not exactly the most discreet way to sell something like that.
Right. Makes you wonder what their game is.
So we've got 3 possibilities here. A placeholder, a scam, or leaked prototypes.
Each scenario has its own set of risks and implications. And that brings us to you, dear listeners.
What do you think is the most likely explanation? Would you be tempted to buy this mysterious iPhone?
Definitely something to think about.
So before we went to get some coffee, we asked you to think about what's going on with this mysterious iPhone listing.
Yeah, is it a placeholder, a scam, leaked prototypes, or something even weirder that we haven't thought of yet?
Right, it's a real head-scratcher. But let's dive back into this Amazon renewed claim.
Yeah, good idea. We talked about what renewed means on Amazon.
Inspected, tested, all that.
Right. But when we look at what this listing actually says about the condition of this phone, it gets kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, for one, it says there are no visible cosmetic imperfections if you hold it at arm's length.
Huh. For a renewed phone.
Exactly. You'd usually expect some signs of wear and tear, right?
Yeah, even a little scratch or something.
Right, right. So that's already a bit odd.
Makes you think.
And then there's the battery. They say it'll have more than 80% capacity compared to a brand new one.
Okay, that's not unheard of for a renewed phone, but
But it's definitely on the higher end.
yeah, like almost new battery life.
Right. It's like they're trying to say this renewed phone is basically just as good as a brand new one.
But then they also mention that the accessories might not be original, although they'll be compatible, and the phone might come in a generic box.
Okay, so that part kind of contradicts the whole pristine condition thing.
It does, doesn't it?
You know that part about the accessories and packaging? It could be a way to explain things if we're actually dealing with prototype iPhones.
Oh, that's true. Prototypes don't usually have the same fancy packaging as the final product, right?
Right, exactly.
It's almost like you're trying to cover all their bases, you know? Reassuring people about the phone's condition, but also leaving themselves some wiggle room.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like a calculated kind of vagueness.
Speaking of calculated, what about that seller name? Never been activate.
Yeah, that's a strange one. From a marketing perspective, it's definitely catchy, it sticks in your mind.
It does, yeah. Kind of funny, too.
Yeah. But on the other hand, it could also be seen as misleading.
Right, because it implies the phone's brand new, not renewed.
Exactly. And that raises some ethical questions, right? Like, are they intentionally being tricky with their wording?
It's a fine line they're walking there.
For sure. And then remember, both the ships from and sold by are never been activated.
Right, which is unusual.
It really makes you wonder who this seller is and where they're getting these phones from.
Are they legit? Do they have some kind of special access to Apple stuff? Or is this something shadier?
So many unanswered